because Stephen had gathered all this intel that pretty much came to him. I mean, these reports came to him. He wasn't out looking for it. They came to him. But then when he started investigating it, more and more came to the light. And so when he showed me what he had, and I think at that time there was about 12 testimonies of people who said that they'd been violated by Todd. And I was shocked. But he had their testimony, he had screenshots, he had texts, emails, and I was in disbelief myself. I thought, this can't be. But what his dilemma was, he was trying to get to Rick Joyner, who we thought was Todd's oversight. And but he couldn't get it to Rick, so he asked if I could help. So I said, well, I'll be glad to help, but I'm not very close to Rick, and I don't know if I can. But when I reached out to Rick, his response was that he didn't believe the reports. He believed that they were exaggerated from way back when, didn't have any relevance. And I said, no, these are these are the real thing, and these are not light. These are really heavy issues. Even if they happened before, they're not good issues that are being reported by these alleged victims. And so he saw the reports, and he just said, I just don't believe that. And then he said, I've put someone to oversee it from Todd's camp to investigate it. And he said he came back and said that there's nothing. But then when I believe it was Brent Borthwick got in touch with him, and he said, tell me, who have you gone to? And he said, no one. And we have a documentation on that, I believe. But that was disturbing. That was very disturbing. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this looks like an intentional cover-up. And I was like in disbelief. I thought, this is an intentional cover-up? Would ministers of the gospel do that? And that was the big question in my mind. I thought, why wouldn't you, if you saw that kind of evidence, why wouldn't you act on it? And why would you say it's bogus and you haven't even talked to anyone yet? And so I was very disturbed. And so Stephen felt at that time, because there was he couldn't get to first base with Todd because Todd was denying it. Todd's team was denying it. Rick was denying it, and he didn't know where to go. And no one wants to go blab that stuff all over the place. You'd rather deal with it, and deal with it well and thorough, and keep everybody safe and make sure everyone's looked after. But there was no other option. And I honestly believe that God is using social media to bring these things out of hiding. He had given me Ezekiel 8, really strong, in 2019, which talks about how God took Ezekiel into the innermost part of the temple and showed them abominations that were taking place through the elders. And then in chapter 9, it says he marked everyone who groaned and sighed over sin, and then judgment came on those that didn't. And it was a heavy word, and I didn't know anything about Todd at that point, but it was a heavy word I was carrying for the body about exposure is coming. And we must groan and sigh over sin. That was the gist of the word that I carried for a few years. I wrote it in my book, Prophetic Manifesto for a New Era. There's a whole chapter on that.